Howdy on Woglox Lives. I think it's time to play a little Better Than Wolves. Alright. Could be working on the sheep pen, I think, some more today. Maybe get another cow bred. Yeah. I hear ya. Nope. I thought maybe they'd have some more milk for me, but apparently not. Never mind with you guys then. Yeah. I hear you, you're growly. Did I feed my chickens? I don't think I did. I should feed my chickens. I think there should be 15 of them, right? I mean, 16 with the little guy, but little guy don't count. Oh, look at my poor shovel. I need to make a new shovel. Otherwise that one is gonna break on me out there, and then I'll lose my diamond ingot. I wouldn't want that. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you're grumpy. He's a grumpy dog that I'll have to put down when I bring some more wolves in. Maybe he's a rabid dog. All right. I want to make sure these edges are all at least 2. Look at this one's not. And that's not the right tool. There you go. This one's not. This one's not. But we can get this filled in. Easy enough. Whoops. We can put dirt in the wrong spot. Easy enough. You'll have to figure out how far out I want to run this stuff. I'm not quite sure yet. Depends on how much dirt I want to transfer from one place to another. That seems to be the case. Not sure there'll be a lot of dirt I want to transfer from one place to another, so I do need to fill in a little bit of this deep gap here, though. I think since I'm going to be building walls to keep the sheep in and to keep stuff from. Well, I mean, if I cliff out the sides so that stuff can't climb up there. I mean, I guess spiders would still be annoying. Always dealing with them annoying spiders. But yeah, I hopefully I can get this pen done pretty quick here, and then drag some sheep back. There are sheep everywhere, so I'm not too worried about finding sheep. Let's try and bring back a couple. I don't even know what sheep breed with. One of these days, I'm gonna remember to shut off my email. You ever hear that noise? That's my email letting me know I got a new email. It's almost as bad as the phone. Oof. The phone the last 3 days has been something else. I think the one day I got 15 or 16 phone calls between 2 and 4, and all of them were unknown number type calls or out-of-state calls on my caller ID that didn't leave a message on the answering machine. Because I don't answer the phone unless I recognize the number. It's kind of been that way for the last 3 days. I hate it. Oh man, almost done. Getting this top cleared off. Why is there cracked stone? Did I just randomly grab stone bricks here and there? I don't understand. I pulled up at least a couple cracked stone up here. I don't know what I was doing. And I don't mean cobble. I mean, it looks like I'd taken some bricks out of it. At least it wasn't full of silverfish. I don't know if you can get silverfish up this high. I don't pay attention. All right. I hear you, Noisy. Might as well collect the cobblestone. Dude, I am working here, all right? Hush. Okay, where's the ladder? So I'm gonna want to bring the ladder up here for me. Obviously, I can't bring sheep up the ladder, but it'll make it easier for me to get up here when I need to get up here. And I'll have to bring the sheep in another path. Because I don't see sheep climbing ladders. I mean, they could try if they want to. I'm not gonna stop them. I just I don't see a lot of ladder climbing sheep. Which would be right about here. Eh, you know what? Let's go with cobblestone for the ladder. Well, that was dumb. I've trapped myself. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take out this. And that way I can go ahead and fill this in with the dirt. Oh, good, it's gonna rain on me. It's been a super rainy week here. Not a fan of it being so rainy. I don't mind it so much when it's more spring-like outside. Um, but with the ground being the way it is, oh shoot, you know what? I need to get my eggs. Oh, I didn't expect to land on top of the ladder. the water just pools, and because the ground is mostly frozen, and so it just makes the outside a huge mess. And then we're at the bottom of a hill. Okay, I'm missing an egg. And so all the water runs down into my yard. And so the cistern here in my basement just fills up over and over and over and over and over, which means my sump pump just runs over and over and over and over. I get tired of listening to that noise because it makes me nervous. Oh, there it is. That it might stop working because it has before. And given the super grumpy and limited supply of people who work in that kind of stuff, I didn't get no chicks that time, man. Um, oh yeah, I should get a ladder or some ladders. I don't know if I got any spare ladders laying around or not. Yeah, every time I have to call people that work in that kind of stuff, they're always super, like, I don't know, just angry or something. I don't know. And then they make just the strangest, rudest comments to me. Um, so I'm not a fan of having to deal. Um, I think this goes like this. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna need a little more than two. So like, I think it was last year. Well, I know it was last year. The sump quit, and um, it's really active. And so I was worried, obviously, that my basement might flood with the sump not working because it has once. Not a super flood, but water started seeping up through the floor in spots, and so obviously that's not something I want to reoccur. And so I called them, and it was like, I don't know, pretty early in the day when I called them, and I was like, yeah, I've got a bit of an emergency. My sump has quit, and the dude is like, well, I already got jobs planned out for today, and So I don't know if I can get there today. And I'm like, my sump has quit and the crock is almost full. And he's like, oh, your house won't flood before tomorrow. I'm like, but it's supposed to rain. And he's like, yeah, your house won't flood from a little bit of rain. Like, dude, you don't know. You don't live in my house. And I'm like, well, is there, like, can you guys come out after the jobs you've got are done? And they're like, well, we don't really do that. So, I'm like, so what am I supposed to do then? And he's like, well, I can put you in for tomorrow. We can be there about between 10 and 11. Looks like I could probably fit you in. Uh, or you can call someone else. And I'm like, okay, you're the guys that are on the written on the equipment, so who would you suggest I call them? Well, I don't know. I don't think there's really anyone in the area that covers sump pumps other than us. So I don't know what to tell you. And there's not. There's no one else listed in our local books, local phone book kind of thing. And then they get out here, right? And they're just constantly haranguing about how it's installed and why they don't understand why it's installed this way, and how I had a backup sump that quit working as well. I had, when the first one went out, the second one didn't come on like it was supposed to, and the guy's like, well, these are touching. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? He's like, well, I don't know, just letting you know that they were touching each other. Okay. If you don't know what that, I mean, I'm not someone who works in that. So what does that mean? Is it bad that they touch? Is it okay that they touch? Like, why would you bring up that they touch if you're not going to tell me what it means that they were touching each other? Like, and then they just like left a mess, and they tore the pipe out for the backup sump because it was in their way, and then they didn't put it back. And whoever had installed the sump originally had put a uh, support board in, to, I guess, cut down on the noise from the pump or something. I don't know. I didn't put it in, and I told them that. When they're like, "Why is this board here?" I'm like, "I don't know. It was there when I moved in the house. The whole system was there when I moved in. The only thing I've done is replace the switch a couple of times." Um, and well, he had to talk to me for, I don't know, like 10 minutes about he didn't understand why it was put in the way it was. I'm like, I don't know, your guys' name is on it. So I just assumed you all put it in. I don't know what more you want from me. I just don't know. Like, you're the experts. That's why I called you. Um I mean, could I have done it myself? Sure, but I thought you'd have some in stock. And that was the point of calling y'all. Like, shut up, do your job. I worked as a, in the field IT guy. I didn't sit around and harangue my customers about their computer choices. Uh, I'd be like, oh, well, you've got background that's not the right resolution for your monitor, and you've got two icons for the same program on your screen when they just call me there to install a piece of software, right? It's not Same thing happened when I had my well went out one time since we moved in here, and so we called different company, but their name is also written on the equipment here, so figured they would have some idea what's going on. And they get here, and I've probably seen well company people come out to different places I've lived at over my lifetime 3 or 4 times now. And every time they come out, they say the same thing. And so they're kind of like the internet, right? Your ISP. If your ISP isn't working, they're always like, must be on your end, right? Are you connected directly to our router? You know, must be a faulty piece in your equipment, even though it turns out to be mice have infested the local interchange box, and they're trying to blame you for something that's clearly them, you know. And so every time they come out, they're like, yeah, your well's gone dry. I'm like, nope, sure hasn't. You want to know how I know? Because one time I saw a well go dry, and we experienced none of that. It was working, and then it wasn't. We've never had the moments in between when a well goes dry, in my experience. You get a lot of like air in the lines, and the water gets muddy and stuff like that. And none of that happened. So, oh, I hear you, buddy. And so I had Googled our issue, and they said that chances are this valve at the bottom of the well had gone up and, or not gone up, but stopped working. And and so he was like, well, according to our records, your well is only X amount deep, and we've been having a lot of reports of wells going dry. Now we have a pond in our backyard. I don't know if that affects uh, water tables, but our pond is never completely dry. And my sump runs year round. Like, obviously in the summer it'll go a couple of days between running, but there's never a point where it just doesn't run, right? Um, so one would imagine that if the water table is at the point that the pond doesn't go dry and the sump never stops, that chances are the well isn't going to be dry. Uh, but I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a well expert. What I do know is it was exactly what I told him it was. And uh, so the one guy, the one well guy, was like definitely not happy that I was right. Um, and instead of just pulling up the well, because they've got different equipment for pulling up a well and drilling, um, they brought out you have to pull the well out before you can drill again. And so they brought in the truck to pull the well, but then they waited until they got the truck with the drill on it here. And then they started sitting up the drill before they pulled out the well because he was sure that there was no way it could be the valve at the end of the well. He was sure of it. And so he went on and on about how he'd seen it all before, and how definitely it was my well wasn't deep enough, which is what they always say. Uh, and and that was going to be, super expensive. I mean, it was super expensive to fix it anyways, but um, how expensive it was going to be to drill another 60 feet down because my well was only 60 feet down. Well, then it turns out he pulls the well, and sure enough, the valve at the bottom is the problem. And and when he pulled the well out, it was actually 80 feet. When he told me it was 60. And then he said he'd run it down, and it should really go 120 feet, and and that he'd run it down to see if it was how deep the well was, and so they put new pipe on the well. Um, it's basically like a hose, and ran it all back down in there, and ran it down to 120 feet, and still had room to go down. So he doesn't know how deep my well is. um, but it's definitely deeper than he thought it was. And he just had to replace he replaced the pipe because they broke some of the pipe as they were pulling it up, and then proceeded to lecture me on some other things he thought could be a problem in the future with my well, and just kept going on and on about things like that. But what he said to me was he wanted to know how come I was home in the middle of the day, and so I was like, well, I think at the time I was still teaching college, and so I was like, I'm a professor at the local college here, and I don't have class today, and so I'm just home here working in my office. And he was like, "Yeah, it's people like me that keep people like you in your air-conditioned offices." Okay, good for you. I don't know what you even mean by that. I mean, obviously, if the world had not advanced to the point where I didn't have to dig my own well, I'd still be, I guess, digging my own well. I What do you even mean by that? Why would you say that to someone? I don't know. That's why I hate calling repair people like that. I'm not saying they're all like that, but all the ones around here seem to be. Um, oh man, I could tell one more quick story here. So we got basically there's the pump guy, the well guy, and then there's the furnace guys. And so I call the furnace guys. This is recent. This is December. My furnace is making weird smells, and so I call him. I'm like, "Hey, my furnace is stinking me out." And so he comes out to look at it, and he's like, "Well, I can't find anything." I'm like, "Well, also it hasn't been running the best, but of course it's running fine while he's here, and it doesn't make any smells while he's here." And so he's like, maybe the vent pipe has gone bad, and so I'll replace that. I'm like, okay, and so then he leaves, and then like 2 days later, my furnace quits working altogether. Won't ignite, and So I call him. I'm like, hey, I don't have heat. And he's like, well, let me see. And he tells me that different guy. So one guy comes out and looks at it. Different guy answers the phone when I call. And so he goes, let me see. And he goes, well, it looks like you're having your vent pipe replaced, and that a bad vent pipe can cause the furnace not to run. So that's probably the issue, and we'll get you fixed up. I'm like, okay. It was like 6 weeks later uh, of me calling every week before they finally came out to even look at my furnace again. And the dude brought part of they called and said they finally had the parts in, which was just, it was ridiculous. I hate dealing with people. I hate it. And the dude on the phone from the company would be like, oh yeah, we got the parts ordered. Oh, they're on back order. Oh, we're having a problem with our shipper. And then like 4 or 6 weeks in, I don't remember at this point, he finally said that they'd been waiting for the company to send them a list of prices, and they finally got the list of prices for the equipment they needed to repair my furnace. And so I would have to pay them at least half the job up front for them to order the parts. Like 6 weeks later, they still hadn't ordered the parts, but they'd have the parts in at the end of the week if I paid them. So I paid them. And then 2 weeks later, they finally got the parts, I think, if I remember right, because every word out of their mouths was a lie. And again, they're the people whose names are written on my equipment, which is why I called them. And so the dude comes out to work on it, and he gets a phone call asking him what's taking so long. And he's like, yeah, I got here and their furnace isn't working at all. And the dude's like, what do you mean? Because he's on speakerphone, so I can hear the whole conversation. And he's like, yeah, he says that like right after I came out the first time, their furnace quit. And the guy's like, well, why didn't he call? I'm like, I've been calling every week. I've told you every week I don't have heat. I don't even know. But yep. All right. Uh, so yeah, it's a little weird looking pen, but I think this should do for sheep. Although I am definitely going to have to poke a hole through the wall to be able to get the sheep in here, and I do want to put like a little gateway there um, where the ladder is, so the sheep don't try to climb down in the pen, out of the pen. Oh man, and I just ran out of cobblestone. But yeah, this should be good for a few sheep, right? I get in here and get some torches down. Just gonna put a couple down now. And yeah. All right, with that, be bearing the small things, leaning the light. I will talk to you later.